What's up, guys? So last week I went to locals and I brought with me a Fire Silvie deck and I got first place. But it wasn't just any Fire Silvie deck, it was Erupting Rhapsody. And I'm gonna be honest, I think Silvie is the new way to play Erupting Rhapsody, and it's the best way. Like, Rye, old news, it's all about Silvie now. You'll see when we go into the deck profile why I think so. I think the list is really clean. And yeah, let's just jump right into it now. Alright guys, and starting off, we're going to start out with our win condition. So we're starting out with the 4 Erupting Rhapsody, 4 Ember Song, 3 Fireball, and 2 Sparkle Light. So Erupting Rhapsody is the main win condition. It's banishing any number of fire element cards from your grave, and you're going to be getting a level for everyone that you banish. And then it has Harmonize, where it'll deal damage up to the number you banish to anything, which is really nice because you just hit your opponent. This is the main win condition. You get the Harmonize and you kill them. So why I personally think that Silvie is the best way to play this deck and get Erupting Rhapsody to kill your opponent is because of this card, Melodious Flute. So its normal effect, getting the level, doesn't really matter. Its class bonus, Banish, it says the next time you activate a Harmony, it's also a melody. So it'll always trigger the Harmonize effect, and that's why it's really good. Because normally when you play this deck in Rye, you're digging and digging to get Ember Song and Erupting Rhapsody. But in this deck, you can just materialize Melodious Flute, activating Erupting Rhapsody, and it just does everything for you. And it allows you to play more cards because you don't have to dictate 2 in the memory and this 1 card, 3 in your hand, to playing this that doesn't really do a ton, especially in Rye. You're not going to be playing an ally to boost up and deal more damage. In this deck, it's not nearly as bad, that's why we still max out on it, and it also means we can go for kills a lot earlier, so it's still really good. But you don't have to always get it. If you just see the Erupting Rhapsody, you can still go for kills. And then Fireball, we increase our level, so we just do a bunch of damage. Sparkle Light, unpreventable. It's really nice. So yeah, that's the main win condition of this deck and how we're going to be going about it. So now, since we're playing Fire, we have a bunch of consistency tools. So 4 Shout at Pets, 4 Creative Shock, 4 Increasing Danger, 4 Idle Thoughts, 3 Cremation Ritual, and then some consistency allies. We also have 4 Clumsy Apprentice and 4 Hasty Messenger. We are just all about consistency in this deck. So let's just start out with Shout at Pets because it's something that this deck can exclusively play. So it's going to give you a level as long as you control an ally, and then you can pitch a fire card to draw a card, which is, or actually it's pitch any card, excuse me. Very strong. It allows you to pitch fire, so that way with Erupting Rhapsody you get extra levels. Consistency tool. It's a really nice card, and I really enjoyed it in this deck. I didn't think it'd be that strong, but it's actually insane for getting your combo off. Creative Shock, broken. Formation. It's less good in this deck because you want your guys to stick, but of course cycling cards is just insane. Idle Thoughts is alright. Just getting the floating memory is important, and then obviously stacking your deck to make it more consistent. Increasing Danger. We're killing our opponent before they can use the advantage that they're getting off of it, so it's really good. And then, as I was saying before, the Clumsies and the Hasties. Hasty is just a super consistent card. It's really strong, and since it's 2 health and you're also putting up bodies that deal damage, they might not kill your Hasty, which is crazy. And then Clumsy Apprentice, getting the draw, broken. It's just really good in this deck, and then the 1 damage too. You just want to be as consistent as possible in this deck, because Erupting Rhapsody is everything. You live and die by that card. You need it to resolve every time. You need it to resolve, you need to see it every match. Now on to the other cards we get to play is 4 Blazing Direwolf. So it's kind of cool as like an endgame option you can play, but honestly it doesn't come up a lot. It's too expensive at a 4 cost, and then Pride 5 means you usually have to be going after Erupting Rhapsody, and it's hard to have that many cards in hand and also get this to trigger. If it works, it works. I got it to happen once, but I'd cut it to 2 because it's just not the most consistent option, and this deck is all about consistency. We're also playing 4 Immaterial Squirrel. I actually really like this card, and it was like better than I thought, which is weird because it seems like a card that would just neg you. 3 Flame Slash. I'm iffy on this card. Like, it kind of comes up with in combination with the Young Beast Spawner, because you can attack with the Young Beast Spawner, and then you use the effect to kill it, so that way you have the floating for later. It kind of comes up, and then just doing more damage with other things, like if you draw your Beast Spawner. I mean, actually, not even your beast monitor. It's just hard to get this thing to resolve because it's doing 2 damage, and a lot of your guys are just not, they're not that healthy. So I'd probably cut it in a future build. I need to go back and look at the fire cards. Like, Embertail Squirrel is good, Young Beast Monitor's alright. Other than that, it's kind of hard to find cards that I really enjoy in this deck. Just you want everything to be cycling, so cards that aren't helping you cycle kind of feel meh. And then 2 squirrels, they're just there, do damage. Sometimes you buff them up, give them the buff counters. Don't forget about that, using the buff counter on Silvie's level 1. It's pretty decent, it'll get you extra damage. And the last 2 cards in our main deck, 2 Spurn to Ash. You have to play it because Nullifying Lantern destroys this deck. So you just filter for it, 2 in the main. If your locals is expecting this deck or playing Nullifyings in the main deck, you should be playing 4. I'm playing the other 2 on the side, and you just side them in games 2 and 3 because they'll probably have it in their sideboard and they bring it in. But if you're expecting it, just play it. Honestly, there's not even that much harm in playing it at 4, because you can play it versus a lot of decks in the format, and it's not the worst. But yeah, you gotta play it to beat the Nullifying. Now moving on to the material deck, we got Spirit of Fire, Silvie 1, Silvie 2, and then Allen 2. So I'm playing 2 different level 2s just because it's flexibility. The material deck isn't that tight in this deck. There's lots of things you can consider playing. Honestly, I really considered cutting both level 2s and just playing every bauble. That's probably not the best play though, because you might need to help them. And it's okay, it gives you consistency tools in case you drew a lot of floating, but yeah, I'd probably play 1 level 2, pick whichever you like most, and then you can add the rest of the baubles if you want. And we're playing GCR, Orb of Regret. They're just, consistency tools in this deck where you need be saying 1 card. Melodious Flute, it's the reason that this deck is just insane. And I highly suggest if you like this deck, if you like playing Erupting Rhapsody and Rye, try it out, play this card, and you'll understand. This thing is insane. Crystal of Empowerment, just to give you the extra levels. Same thing with the ears. So I actually really like this card. So if you play the Mirror and you put this card out, your opponent's kind of like, well, what do I do now? Because you're just using it on the turn they're activating Erupting Rhapsody. And it's hard to get Erupting Rhapsody to do enough damage that you're going to use your boots and do it again later. Like, that's just never happening. So it's kind of funny. And Rye, you can use it like, you're never reaching endgame with any of these decks. You're just trying to kill them as fast as possible. If you can't, you just lose. But if you ever get the mirror match, that card's going to go crazy. And then Discord, it's kind of a flex spot. If you happen to go into a matchup where levels matter, you could just play this. It's okay. Honestly, I probably should cut this for a bauble. This, the other level 2, and then you play all 3 baubles. I'm just playing Fire because Fire's all over at my locals, but yeah. So yeah, that's the deck. The side deck I was playing, I just didn't like, so I would just completely change it. Put the other 2 Spurns in. Play Sparklights if you think they're playing like Veilings, and that way they can't prevent it, or Water Barriers, stuff like that, just to mess around with stuff. Varuk is pretty good in this deck, and other than that, there's just not a ton. If you have any suggestions, playing consistency tools, other things other than these allies, let me know, post it. But yeah, I really like this deck. I think it's a lot better than the Rye version, and it really punishes decks that are being super greedy in their early levels, not committing to the board, wait to go to level 3, and then they play. You just play this deck and you say, okay, well, I'm just going to kill you when you're level 1, maybe level 2, and there's not going to be a whole lot you can do about it. So yeah, really cool deck. If you want to play Silvie, this is probably one of the best ways to play him right now. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy him.